Hey everybody, this is Joe Gilder from HomeStudioCorner.com, and today's video I want to talk about editing. I've been talking about editing in several articles over on Home Studio Corner this week, and talking about just what it is and why you would want to do it, and also some reasons why you would maybe not want to do it depending on the song that you're working on and your tracks. But we should probably take a step back for those of you that maybe aren't too familiar with terms like editing, pocketing, cutting, pasting, all those things as it refers to digital audio. So if you're doing recording, 99 times out of 100, you're doing it on some sort of a computer system, or you're at least doing it on a digital system. And for the sake of this video, we're going to pretend that you're working on some sort of a computer-based recording system. For me, I'm in Pro Tools, but if you're using Digital Performer, Cubase, Logic, or even some of the freebies out there like GarageBand and Audacity, and folks like that, Reaper is one of them as well, the same concepts apply when we're talking about digital audio. And the best analogy I can give for editing is to compare it to writing a paper in some sort of a word processor like Microsoft Word, Pages for Mac, or just any sort of a text edit program. If you've got a text editor, and you know what, we'll actually just do that really quickly and just give you an example. If you've got some sort of a text editor, let's say you're in Microsoft Word, then chances are you've done the simple editing tasks before. And it's not this huge ordeal. It's not that difficult to do, and it's something we're all familiar with, but you may not be familiar with how it applies to something like your music. So let me show you real quick. So let's say right here we've got a couple paragraphs of text that we've written. Everybody's familiar with, let's say, this paragraph would go a lot better up at the top. So what we're going to do, we're going to cut that, and then we're going to come up here and insert it up here. Simple, right? And let's say, this middle sentence here probably doesn't have to be there, so this whole sentence can just go. So we'll just delete that, and it's gone. And we'll come in and say, this sentence needs to be before this sentence. Okay, that's great. So we all know that editing is simply just copying and pasting. Well, you can do the exact same thing within your DAW or your digital audio workstation. It's the same concept, and if you wrap your head around that, it becomes a lot easier to understand what editing is and why you would do it. So there's lots of different examples for editing, especially the one I do the most is called pocketing. Or it's probably one of the top 3 uses that I use editing for. And pocketing is simply coming in and adjusting the timing of a song. So, for example, if we're looking at, let me pull up a bass track here. Let's say this bass player, just for the sake of an example, let's say this is where he came in, and this is the downbeat of a note. But let's say he actually should have come in on this line here. And let's say this next note that he played is perfectly in time, but this one came in too early. Well, we can simply just come in here, and we just chop this up using just Command E and in Pro Tools, and then we use the trimmer tool to just trim this back to wherever we want it, and then actually drag it and move it, which is the same as copying and pasting over here. So now that note's in time, and this note's still in time, and this note is still in time. So that's the essence of pocketing. We're just simply going along, and whenever a note is out of time, whether it's a drum hit or a note on the guitar or the bass, we just go in and we move it to the correct spot. And the tools that we use in editing are the same across all DAWs. So like I said before, whether you're using Logic or Pro Tools or Audacity, you'll have the same basic tools available to you. And they may do them a little differently in each program, but they're pretty much all the same. So the basic tools are, first of all, there should be some sort of a selector tool. And this just allows you to come in, and if you want to zoom in really far, you can select any particular amount of audio that you want. And that's really useful if you're just selecting sections to delete. You just delete them. Or if you're selecting a section you want to copy it and then come over here and paste it, you can do that. It simply just lets you select a piece of audio. There's even an option to select it and just separate that region, so then you can maybe just drag it somewhere else if you wanted. You've got all those options available to you. And that's going to be called, in most DAWs, it's going to be called a selector tool. The other big tool that you're going to use is simply a trimmer tool. And in Pro Tools, it's this guy right here. And when you're using the Smart tool, it shows up on the left. And so that's just simply, when you hover on the edge of a region or a piece of audio, it lets you trim it down. So let's say for this song, it plays through that little E chord for 2 measures. Let's say we only want it to be 1. So instead of this being the beginning, we want that note to be the beginning. Well, we simply just come in here and trim this back to there. And that's all the trimmer tool does. The audio is still there. It's not disappeared. We haven't deleted anything, which that's one of the key differences between a Word document. If we came in and deleted this and went on about our business, then we couldn't just come and get that back. And that's one of the beautiful things about digital audio. Let's say we did that, and 3 hours later, after we worked on the rest of the song, we decided, you know what, I do like to have that intro there. We just simply come in with the trimmer tool and pull it back out. So it's completely non-destructive. That's the word that they use for that. So that's your trimmer tool. And the other tool is simply just some sort of a grabber tool, or a hand tool, if you will. And that simply just lets you, if you have a region or a piece of audio, you can just grab it and move it. And that's, again, it's going to be called different things depending on what DAW you're using. But those are your 3 basic functions. And with those 3 functions alone, you can do a lot. Like, let's say, just for example, I'll show you quickly. Let's say we want to do the same thing. This is 2 measures long, and we want it for radio, we just want it to be 1 measure, so the big, heavy part comes in more quickly. And we decide we like the very beginning guitar chord where I kind of strummed it out slowly. And we still want that to be the beginning, but we want this middle section to go away. Well, all we got to do is come in here and use our selector tool. Okay, so here's the beginning of that second bar, but we want this to be there. So let's just take the first half of this one and put it there so that the last half where it gets louder is still there as well. So we'll move this over. We want that beginning downbeat to be right there. Okay. So now we've got okay, so it sounds a little off. So let's see if we can't make it better. And now it's just a matter of moving it around until it fits in time. And this is all editing is. We're moving it around. So you get the basic idea. I'm not gonna So now we've got a 1-bar intro. And so before that, we used our trimmer tool to move it around. We used our selector tool to grab what we wanted to move around. And then we used our grabber tool to move it to the exact spot that we wanted. And after everything, if we don't like it, we just come back to our faithful trim tool and we just drag everything back out to the original audio, which is right here. And everything's there. So that's just a simple example, and it didn't work quite as well because it wasn't as smooth of a transition. But you'll encounter editing in all sorts of things, whether you're doing pocketing, where you're editing the timing of a guitar and a bass and drums to be more in time with each other, or whether you're trimming up a song for to make it 30 seconds for a radio ad, or you're doing what's called a scope, where you take an entire song that's 4.5 minutes long and you cut it down to where it's 3.5 minutes by removing certain sections and having them all flow together. Those are all tasks that you can do with editing. And if you don't know much about editing, you should get in there, grab a song, one of your favorite songs, like I've done here, and drag it into your DAW, and simply chop it up and move it around. See if you can't make it sound differently. Let's see if you can't get rid of that second chorus and bridge and make it flow into the next section. It's not something that's going to come easily, but it's a lot of fun to do and something I think you'll get a lot out of. So that's it for me. Again, this is an intro to editing. My name's Joe from HomeStudioCorner.com. If you like this and other videos, you can check out my YouTube channel or head over to the website, HomeStudioCorner.com, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks a lot. We'll see you soon.